My name is Partybug, and I have a guest with me.
Yes, I'm Wayne. I said I'd be back for the finals, and we're pretty darn close. This is the last major stage of the game, the last Lord of Cinder.
Yep, we're up there. I think I'm planning to do 3 more boss fights, and that'll be it.
How much of the optional stuff do you plan on doing?
I'm probably gonna hit everything except for the what's it called? Dragon's Airy. It's not Dragon's Airy, but the Dragon area, and I won't do the DLC.
The Dragon area.
Yes.
So you mean to say that we're in a fighting game, and you are not going to do your hidden boss, your reptile, your Akuma? You're not gonna do that?
I am not.
Oh,
I do not have the strength for it. Speaking of hidden bosses, though, the Crystal Sage has rushed the stage. He's asking for an impromptu matchup.
Here comes a new challenger.
He's saying, "I'm the boss of Evo."
Always, whenever you're playing one of those new types of games, like the new Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue and stuff like that, seems like it's obligatory they have some kind of magic character that just relies on spamming the area full of stuff, and it's more of a change it to a rhythm game than a fighting game.
Yeah, exactly. Any anime game has a character that's just focused on filling the screen with things.
Right. Speaking of, have you thought about using? I mean, I was doing not for IIIrd, of course. So he has to choose the magical arts. But have you played around with that much? Since while we're listening to the Crystal Sage throw stuff at you.
I did play as a pyromancer once. It was all right. It was a little underpowered, but by the end of the game, I was destroying stuff. But yeah, IIIrd is all fists.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your uppercut, but no fireballs. Yeah, what kind of scrub are you?
I threw a sonic boom once. That was pretty cool.
Oh, true. So, one thing that I was joking around with P-Bug when we're in getting set up for this episode. Well, oh yeah, this is interesting. You made it to her pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's my MO. Go through things quick.
Yeah. When I got here the first time, I decided to basically just stick around. She stops moving to new areas when you get here. She just bounces around on different sides of the bridge. So when I noticed that, I think I was on the balcony that you dropped down from earlier, and I just started shooting bows at her.
Right. Oh, here we have the Crystal Sage being escorted off the stage.
Good riddance. But yeah, what I was starting to say was that if it feels even more like a fighting game, because starting with Dark Souls 2, but especially in 3, they do balance patches for weapons all the time, and the good old Cestus was actually nerfed in the last one. They added you take extra damage in your recovery frames when you try to parry now, just to deal with people that spam that.
Yeah, so a good decision to make it worse.
Right.
Really what I wanted.
Yeah, it's like we haven't seen them in the LP because P-Bug isn't doing much PvP with them. But yeah, it's like they buff weapons that are already good and then nerf stuff that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought briefly about trying to run a tournament, but I'm on PS4 and I assume most people are playing on PC, so
yeah.
I figured I'll just keep it solo.
Yeah, we the two of us met up again on a fellow Goon stream, and it's like you were talking about this. Everybody else on PC except for P-Bug. It's like PS4 bug.
I gotta find some reason to use this thing.
I guess the Bloodborne LP is going to be coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Bloodborne with just the fist weapon.
Which is just your fists, right? Or was there one I didn't know about?
There is a punching weapon, sort of. You get it from the powder kegs.
Oh, that thing. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be fun. That's one of those weapons where Bloodborne is one of those games where, unlike Dark Souls 3, which has a ton of weapons, Bloodborne only has a handful, but each of them has its own moveset. But I've never gotten good with that one.
Yeah, I really do like Bloodborne's approach toward weapons. They all feel pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is if I were to do that, if I were an insane person and decided to do that Let's Play, that fist weapon is only available like halfway through the game.
Right. It's just not as bad as the scythe you get at the very end. Whoa, that was close.
Yeah. This guy's pretty rough.
What's funny is that we're talking about fist weapons, that the Dark Hand you can buy from Uria if you were doing the Lord of Hollows quest line. is it's not upgradable, but it's a fist to weapon, it's strike, and it's elemental. It does dark damage, and that's actually really good for killing these guys because they're weak to dark, and being made out of stone, they're weak to strike.
Right.
But unfortunately,
Yeah,
Ashy Larry.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ashy Larry hasn't unlocked his what's the Satsui no Hado.
So out this door, we're gonna start playing Skullgirls and do a 3v1. I forgot about these guys until I actually reached here.
A nice cut there. I see the bloodstain.
Yep, it was rough times.
Yeah. So these three guys are three of the four members of the King's Black Hands, his assassin spy group and everything. And we kind of skimmed over it right at the start. But you find the fourth member, Black Hand Goddard, at the start of Grand Archives. He's the one you loot the key from. And it's one of those neat little bits of environmental storytelling that Dark Souls does so well. Because if you play through, basically there are two ways to get to this part of the game. Is you can kill Emma, the old lady that gives you the bowl of neck juice, and or you can wait till this part of the game where you kill all the other Lords of Cinder. And I guess the implication is Prince Lothric, he has her killed so nobody can get to him, or he does it on his own. It's not clear which. And so he dies. He kills her. Then he dies, possibly by Dragon Slayer armor, and then you fight the other members here.
Right. Yeah, I actually was going to ask you about these guys because I was not sure on the lore behind them, but now I know.
Yeah. And you fought the guy with the great axe, and now Scrub Lord Supreme with the dual katanas here.
Ashy Larry got a bit smart and decided to hide behind cover.
Right. Now this NPC is interesting. It's like when she has the
Yeah.
You mashed through
twice.
that? Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, she's one of those NPCs that in the Souls games is that when you try to parry, of course you have to get the timing right. NPCs just have a stance whether they perfectly parry or they don't. And if she decides to be annoying about parrying you, you might just try to use a jump attack or something that can't be parried when you fight her. Or you could just, beat her up like Ashy Larry did.
Yeah, just force your way through.
And with that, we have the first half of Archives down.
Yeah, it's quicker than I thought it would be. Archives is, I always forget it's a little bit long, and it comes out of, I never expect it coming. For some reason, I keep forgetting about it.
Right. It kind of made this level in particular made me think of Demon Souls, where you have levels that are really long, but they have multiple checkpoints and shortcuts in there to make it not as bad than only one actual warp point or bonfire.
Right.
And especially the part coming up is very reminiscent of the last part of Boletaria. Second to last, yeah.
Very Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you went through the archives and you didn't do any archiving. There's lots of scrolls and magic. Well, you did get the Sage Scroll, I think, or the Crystal Scroll. Yeah.
That was by mistake. Ashy Larry hates books.
And yeah, you can fight your way through this part, but no, don't do it.
Yeah.
It is not worth it.
I did try that once. It did not work out well for me.
I don't. The rest of you guys might want to weigh in on this one, but I'm the kind of person that, when playing a Souls game, I usually play through the stage, fighting all the enemies and everything once, and then decide, if it's worth my bother to do that again. And this is one of those things. I didn't even do that the first time. I have never gone up the ladder or gone up the stairs, and this is why.
Yeah, everyone's getting excited.
Talk about
when I play through it legit, I'll actually kill people the first time, but then after that, not so much.
Exactly.
And here we have the two of the sons of the Consumed King.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, unkindled one, purloiner of cinders.
Man, I need to use purloiner more often.
Mind you,
if this was a Father's Day episode and not a Mother's Day episode, we would have fought the Consumed King. But instead, we're fighting his sons.
Oh, they must take after their mother.
Yeah.
Remember that joke when we get to the next episode, if you don't already know what we're talking about.
If there's one thing about this Let's Play that I've always said is it's for mothers, so this is going to be a good update.
So let's do a little real talk here, strategy talk and everything. The twin princes are jerks. This is a hard fight. At least it was for me. And some people say it's not too bad, but...
I would say it's not too bad, but I also spent like 2 hours doing it, so that makes me a liar.
Yeah, if you spent 2 hours on a boss, I'd say that counts as too bad.
Yeah. The thing is that Lorien is very predictable until he teleports and instant overheads you.
Exactly,
and then,
yeah.
Like, all of his attacks when he's just doing his swinging thing right here are pretty easy to dodge, and then suddenly out of nowhere you'll get hit with something like that.
Right. I would say starting with Fume Knight in Dark Souls 2, and it possibly, that might not be accurate because, if I remember right, these games were in development, or 3 was in development at the same time as the DLC in 2. And of course by a different part of FromSoft. But he had that gimmick where he would basically do the usual timing-based ultra attacks like Lorien does. And then he'd have jump attacks and really fast swings. And for some, the jump attacks and lunges. And for some reason, those did more damage, even though they were harder to deal with. And Lorien is the same way. His standing up swing, his teleport, and then that big shockwave attack, and his drop attack all do tons of damage. And they're also the hardest ones to dodge. It just seems really, really mean.
Dear brother.
Yeah, it's rough when he teleports somewhere where I can't get to him with the camera very easily, which happens occasionally.
Right.
This second phase of the fight went really weird. And I'm surprised that I actually won this attempt, but we'll see.
Looking forward to it.
One thing that I have noticed, and I've complained about this before, but since using the Keistis means I stand right next to bosses, I've discovered that a lot of bosses have blank spots, like right next to them in their hitboxes. So there are a few times I was fighting Lorien, standing right next to him, and he was just whiffing attacks for no real reason.
Yeah, Lorien in particular is kind of weird in that he's a boss you can kind of parry. Basically, if you're right next to him and you hit his arms instead of his sword, you can actually knock him out of a lot of his swings. And I think that's what's going on in that phase. It's like you're in that area where it's, you're out of the hitbox of his sword, but in his hand. And if you try to parry, I think it might actually work. I've seen that too. I never tried to parry because I'm not crazy, but
Yeah.
I've seen people do it.
So this part of the fight is actually very similar to the other part, except occasionally you get zoned out by fireballs.
Right. Yeah, he's clearly using that striker system from King of Fighters. It says Buddy keeps calling in for those magic attacks. Especially since I think he only has 2. He has that little tracking soul spray and then the soul spear, which he'll use if you try to stay out of range. Not that Ashy Larry ever wants to be out of range.
Yeah, that's the exact problem I had in this fight. He decided to use his homing attack quite a bit.
Right. So you can see there for a lot of these attacks, because he's so close, it's registering hits on both princes. Whereas if you're fighting him head on, a lot of times you'll only do damage to Lorien, but you can't actually kill Lothric first.
Right.
I ended up using some ultras on this one to help people co-op it, and that's a good way to hit both of them too.
Yeah, I'm very careful to circle completely around the back before I attack, otherwise you're kind of wasting your time.
Right. One thing that kind of curious about, have you ever tried using, not as much for the princes because they do so much damage, but with the Sestai, have you ever tried using Perseverance to kind of poise through an attack and keep hitting them? You see, bosses that don't attack too frequently. I would say don't attack too infrequently. I saw a few too many double negatives, but that attack infrequently, that's a good way to get through there.
Yeah, I've done it only by mistake. It's worked out once or twice, but usually I just press the wrong button and then I suddenly have more poise and
right,
good stuff happens.
By which you mean more than 0.
Yeah. The only characters that get poisoned in this game are NPCs.
Right. That was some pretty good dodging.
Yeah, had a lot of time to practice.
None of the bosses gave me as much trouble as Abyss Watchers did that I talked about last time, but Princes were fairly close. I'd say they took me around 10, 12 tries.
Yeah, they're one of the, like I was saying, even though I say that they're not that hard, they have taken me quite a lot of time.
Speaking of the nameless boss that shall not be named that we're not going to be getting to, did you try him for the LP or just decided no, let's not bother with it?
I have not tried him yet. I will probably not, because even in my normal playthroughs, I could not beat him.
Right. Yeah, he was the second most number of deaths after Abyss Watchers in that stream, and it was pretty close.
Yeah, that guy's broke. He's banned from competition.
For a lot of the same reasons too. He's got the broken air dash moves in a game that doesn't have them. He's your Super Street Fighter 2 Akuma.
So we've almost got.
Ooh.
Well,
look at that damage, yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have enough Estus. The real secret to this boss is don't get hit in the first phase. You have plenty to heal in the second.
Right. Speaking of, and one of the reasons I wanted to come back, shifting gears a little bit, was that I actually did owe from an apology. They actually did. I said I wouldn't be playing any more Dark Souls unless they fixed their covenants, and they did. All of them finally work.
Oh, really? I rarely do PvP, so I haven't actually checked them out.
Yeah, yep. I got all my ears on 2 different characters now. It's like lots of earless invaders out there.
Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't find any covenants that I really enjoyed. There's no Rat King, so it's all garbage.
Yeah, closest one is probably the Aldrich Covenant, and it's not the same.
Yeah. I mean, I did my fair share of Sunbroing. When the game first came out. Mm-hmm. But there was no super interesting covenants.
Speaking of PvP, as one guy explained it to me, and this is something, P-Bug does play fighting games, and of course people that do too. It's like, if you're up, nice, there you go.
Yeah.
If you're up against an opponent, and you see that they have like 300 millisecond ping, not to play with that person. But that's basically what Dark Souls PvP does because of how its netcode works. So if people don't want to PvP because of the problems it has, that's totally understandable.
Yeah, there's no option to decline a match in Dark Souls.
Yeah. All right, yeah, you did good.
Yeah, that's the end of it. All right,
what's next for Leary? Is it Consumed King next?
I believe it is Consumed King.
All right. Well, hopefully that'll go pretty well. And it was a lot of fun. Walking away from the controller, putting it down.
Apparently, I forgot to cut that part out.
All right, well, take care, folks, and we'll see. I said we'll see Ashy Larry in the finals. You're really close, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we'll see ya.